Hello guys, Brad here again with another fragrance video. This time I want to do a topic discussion on the art of negative fragrance reviewing. Now this is a topic that has come up every now and then. I think Cody mentioned it, the Fragrance Bros mentioned it, and I think it's a very interesting thing about fragrances is negative reviewing. But I wanted to kind of expand on that topic a little bit and maybe really get into it a little bit more. So I think most people when they have this discussion, the basic question is, should we do it or should we not do it? So I think that is, certainly the first thing to talk about. I would say, yeah, that's a personal decision. For me, I think it's important to get as much information out there as possible, but I know a lot of people are going to hesitate to do negative reviews for several reasons. Number one, whenever you do a negative review, you make yourself vulnerable in comments for haters. People are going to leave trolling comments or nasty comments. I think we've seen this recently with the Fragrance Bros when they reviewed a rose-based fragrance that most people seem to like, and they both said it wasn't very good. We had I think Jared said something about grandma's hug or something like that. So yeah, that didn't go over real well with some people, but that's part of it. Number two, I think if you do a lot of negative reviewing, time and time again, you can give yourself this label of as being a hater, someone that doesn't really like fragrances. You just want to bash and hate and trash everything. Even though that might not necessarily be the case, you might just be on a bad streak of sampling, and you're just, giving your honest opinions, and it just happens to, be that way. Maybe next week, you're doing five or six great, reviews in a row, and it's just the way the cards fall, So, but perceptions in the community can have a big effect on whether or not you want to do a negative review. And finally, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? I know a lot of reviewers put a tremendous amount of work into their videos, editing, special effects, and things like that. And they might not have time to cover every single fragrance they review. They just want to talk about the ones that they're passionate about and that they really love, and the ones that they hate just kind of get scrapped and left behind. So, first thing, ask yourself, do you really want to do it? Now, if you do want to do it, the question is, how do you actually do it? Well, like for me, I would say a great time to test out fragrance that you don't like on your day off. Maybe it's the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. You're out walking around in the park or whatever. Try on a fragrance sample that you don't like and just kind of let it air out on you and see how it goes. Um, Another option I think is, if you do want to wear it to work and you're not really comfortable with it, maybe you can just apply it a little bit earlier in the day. Like for example, I normally leave for work around 7:30 in the morning, so maybe 6:45 or 7 o'clock, put the fragrance on. Give it time to settle down a little bit, so you're not exposing everybody around you to these loud top notes. Maybe once it gets to the mid and the dry down, it's a little less offensive, and you'll feel a little bit more comfortable actually wearing it around people. After work is a great time to test fragrances. You get home at 5 or whatever. That gives you 4 or 5 hours in the evening to test a fragrance, which should be plenty of time to let the fragrance, go through its stages and give you an idea how it smells. So those are some thoughts there. So try to wear it for at least 4 hours. I would say try to give it at least two or more wearings as well. You never know, you might come around to it after a couple of wearings. Maybe, it's just one of those complex fragrances where you just don't understand it the first time you smell it, but then after a couple of wearings, wow, you're starting to like it a little bit more. Now, I'm not sure if I really buy into this. Well, I had to wear it 100 times to really appreciate it. Now, if it takes that many wearings to appreciate it, I would say, maybe that's stretching it a little bit. But, I think, 2 to 5 wearings, at that point, I think, your opinion of that fragrance is going to be pretty well solid. And another thing is what to say about it in your review. Uh, First of all, I would say explain why you don't like the fragrance. Is it too floral for your taste? Too masculine? Too animalic? Or too sweet? There's going to be something about the fragrance. Specify why you don't really like the fragrance. And also, try to find some reason why people might like the fragrance. Like if you say, well, maybe an older gentleman might like this fragrance, or a teenager might like this fragrance, or someone likes florals or whatever. Try to find some segment of the community that might actually at least want to test the fragrance, and not necessarily buy it, but at least give it a sniff and see what they think. Especially if you see a lot of positive reviews for that fragrance elsewhere. And finally, the last topic I want to touch on is what are the benefits of negative reviewing? Number one, it breaks the ice. I think a great example of this is Christo when he did his negative review of New Harlem. He was one of the first people to actually say, I don't like New Harlem because of that lavender note. And then I started to notice a lot of people jumping on that, yeah, I don't really like New Harlem either bandwagon. So I think he kind of broke the ice for that fragrance. Now, people aren't as, making it sound like, New Harlem is like, something that's universally loved. Is now it's becoming more of an even-based fragrance, which is good to see, because I think a lot of fragrances are more likely to be like that than like this. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it helps break the ice. Number two, it helps the fragrance community um, know your taste. Like, for example, if you always say, you like a fragrance, people might not understand what exactly it is you don't like in addition to what you do like. So, like, if you hear a certain reviewer always saying how great New Harlem is and Givenchy's pie, you're like, okay, I know this person loves sweet fragrances. But if they say, well, I didn't like um, certain fragrances with florals in them, like if I didn't like a fragrance that had the jasmine notes or whatever, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, this guy likes sweet fragrances, but he doesn't like the jasmine notes or something like that. So it helps with that as well. And finally, it helps even the score. A lot of fragrances, if you look at the reviews at base notes, they might have 100 loves, but also 100 dislikes. And the same fragrance at YouTube might have 100 likes and maybe one or two dislikes. So you want to try, I think, to keep that balance in the review game, ideally, so people know not only why it's a good fragrance, but also why it might not be a good fragrance, and help figure out which demographics would actually benefit most from wearing that fragrance. So those are some thoughts for today. The art of negative fragrance reviewing. If you have any thoughts, add those down below in the comments section. Now, thank you for watching. Have a good day, everybody.